My son's fiancée ordered me to pay for their wedding. When I refused, she took me to court. Okay. The judge folded her hands, looked over her glasses, and asked the question that made the entire courtroom fall silent. Mr. Harris, did you or did you not promise to pay for your son's wedding? My son's fiancée, Amelia, smirked at me like she had already won. I stared at my boy, my only child, hoping to see some sign of regret, some hint of shame. Instead, he looked away. That was the exact moment I realized I wasn't just fighting a court case. I was fighting for my dignity. The story. My name is Daniel Harris, a 62-year-old retired teacher who spent the last 3 decades saving every spare penny. My wife passed away 7 years ago, and since then I've lived quietly gardening, fishing, spending time with my book club. Life wasn't perfect, but it was peaceful. That peace shattered the day my son, Ethan, brought home the woman he claimed was the love of his life. Her name was Amelia, and in our very first meeting, she looked around my modest living room and said, "Oh, I thought Ethan came from money. I should have known then. But love makes fools out of the best of us, parents included." The expectation. A month after they got engaged, they invited me to dinner. Well, no, that's not accurate. They summoned me. Amelia had created a fancy PowerPoint presentation about their dream wedding, complete with flower arrangements, venue tour, and designer outfits. The total cost: $48,700. I nearly choked on my water. I told them calmly, "It's a lovely plan, but I don't have that kind of money, and even if I did, I wouldn't spend it on a wedding." Amelia blinked twice as if I had spoken in another language. Then she said something I would never forget. "Well, you're the father. Paying for the wedding is your responsibility." I laughed. She did not. Ethan looked embarrassed, but not enough to disagree with her. I repeated myself more firmly this time. "No." Amelia slammed her notebook shut. "Fine, but don't expect to be considered family if you won't contribute." I walked out before I said something I'd regret. The lawsuit. 2 weeks later, I got served papers. Yes, actual legal papers. Amelia was suing me for breach of verbal contract, claiming I had promised to pay for the wedding. I was stunned. I called my son, he didn't pick up. I texted him, no answer. My neighbor, a retired lawyer, offered to help me look through the complaint. After reading it, he sighed and said, "Daniel, they don't have a case, but they're going to drag you through the mud." And drag me they did. Courtroom chaos. The courtroom was full the day of the hearing. Amelia had apparently told the entire world that I had betrayed them. Her parents sat behind her, glaring like I had committed a crime. Ethan looked uncomfortable, but he didn't leave her side. When the judge asked her to explain the basis of the lawsuit, she stood proudly and declared, "Your Honor, he implied many times that he'd take care of the wedding. We took that as a promise." The judge asked, "Do you have any proof?" She lifted her chin. It was understood. The judge raised an eyebrow. Understood by whom? "By everyone," she said confidently. Then it was my turn. My turn to speak. I stood up, my palms sweating. "Your Honor," I said, "I never agreed to pay for anything. They showed me plans and I said it was too expensive. That's the only truth here." The judge nodded. Then she asked the one question I wasn't prepared for. "Mr. Harris, why do you think your son and his fiancée would go this far?" I swallowed. "Because they think money is more important than family, and because they assume I'll give in if pressured." Amelia scoffed loudly. The judge shot her a warning look. Then she delivered her decision. The verdict. "Based on the evidence or lack thereof, this case has no legal merit. I am dismissing the lawsuit." I exhaled, relieved. But then the judge added, "And I strongly suggest the plaintiffs reflect on their motivations before dragging a parent into court over a wedding." Amelia gasped as if she had been slapped. I thought the nightmare was over. But I was wrong. Aftermath. That evening, Ethan finally came to see me. He stood on my porch looking tired and torn. "Dad, Amelia's furious. She says you humiliated her." I stared at him. "Son, she humiliated herself." He rubbed his face. "She just wants her dream wedding. At the cost of your relationship with me, at the cost of dragging your father to court." He didn't answer. Then I asked the question that had been burning in my chest. Ethan, do you think I should pay for your wedding? He hesitated. And that hesitation told me everything. I felt something inside me crack, not loudly, not violently, but quietly, like a final straw snapping. You chose her lawsuit over your own father, I said softly. You didn't even call me before it happened. I didn't know what to do, he whispered. I nodded. I understand, but now I have to do something. He looked confused. What do you mean? I took a breath. Ethan, until you're ready to respect me, I'm stepping back from your life. His face fell. Dad, no. I love you, I said, but I won't be treated like a wallet. Then I closed the door. It was the hardest thing I had done since losing my wife. The wedding. Months passed. I heard through neighbors that they had dramatically downgraded their wedding. A backyard instead of a ballroom, a rented tent instead of a luxury hall. Amelia told everyone it was because she preferred something intimate. Nobody believed her. Part of me hoped Ethan would reach out. He didn't. At least not until the week before the wedding. He showed up at my door alone, looking thinner, tired, older. Dad, can we talk? I let him sit with me on the porch. He took a long breath before speaking. Amelia left, he said simply. She said I wasn't ambitious enough, said I wasn't useful without money. I felt a heavy sadness, not because she left but because he had suffered. I'm sorry, I said, meaning it. He nodded, eyes wet. You were right, I was too blind to see it. He looked at me, voice cracking. Dad, I'm sorry about everything, the lawsuit, the disrespect, all of it. I reached over and squeezed his hand. I never wanted to be your enemy, son. I know, he whispered, I just wanted her to be happy. And what about your own happiness? I asked. He looked down. I forgot about that part. We sat quietly for a long time, father and son healing in the quiet evening breeze. Finally he said, Dad, can we start over? I smiled, a real smile. We never ended. Epilogue. Ethan didn't get married that year. Instead, he moved into a small apartment, switched jobs, and started therapy. We spent weekends fishing, cooking, and relearning how to talk to each other. A year later, he met someone new. Someone kind, someone humble, someone who didn't think marriage was a business deal. And when they finally decided to get married, she asked me, Mr. Harris, would you honor us by being part of our wedding planning? Only if you want to, of course. My eyes stung. That is all I had ever wanted. And no, I still didn't pay for the wedding. But this time, nobody expected me to. Sparkles. Moral of the story. Sparkles. A family is built on respect, not money. When relationships stand on money, they don't last long. Amelia asking for money showed that greed mattered more to her than love. Respecting parents is a duty, their earnings are not. Parents are not ATMs, their respect should come from who they are, not how much they earn. It is better to be alone than to be in a wrong relationship. Ethan learned that living with the wrong person is worse than living truthfully and with self-respect. True love never demands money. People who genuinely love you never put financial burdens on you nor drag you into court. Setting boundaries is necessary. Daniel loved his son but still had the courage to say no, and that was his real strength. With time, true relationships return. Ethan came back, apologized, and the bond became stronger because real relationships don't break from temporary mistakes. Relationships built on greed break, relationships built on love heal. Amelia's dream of luxury collapsed within days, but the bond between father and son healed with love.